Humans are creatures of habit. Day to day, we primarily have the same routines, eat the same foods, and partake in the same activities. Unless there are special circumstances where our autopilot functioning is disturbed, such as being on vacation, moving houses, or working on a personal project like training for a marathon, most of our weeks blend into one. Unless we stop, reevaluate, and consciously work on changing our behavior, the habits we have now will be the habits that we have in 5 years. I've been thinking a lot about the quote with which I started this video. Environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. How many of us stop and think of our environment as one of the biggest factors that influence our behavior and influence the habits that we develop? I mean, you look around your house and you see your phone, a laptop, a TV, a guitar, some fruit, maybe chocolate. But how exactly do these items in our home or even outside our home influence how we act? Let's find out. When you think about architecture, you might think about buildings, spaces, and how they are structured. Adam Alter, in his book Irresistible: The Rise of Addictive Technology and the Business of Keeping Us Hooked, talks about behavioral architecture. I love this word, by the way, behavioral architecture. It sounds so sophisticated and so cool. But anyways, I'm going off topic. Behavioral architecture focuses on how the things that we have in our environment will affect our behavior. And essentially, in our day-to-day life, we have an endless supply of cues that prompt a certain behavior. So you have a cue, and that cue is followed up by a behavior. And let me give you an example of what it looks like. So imagine that it's early in the morning and your alarm clock is going off. The cue of the alarm clock going off will prompt the behavior for you to turn off the alarm. Now, your wake-up routine will be very different if your alarm clock is your phone, or if your alarm clock is a more traditional alarm clock that doesn't have all the things that your phone has. So in this morning scenario, you have a cue of an alarm clock going off, and that cue prompts a behavior to turn off the alarm. If you have your phone as an alarm clock and you turn it off, and then you see all these notifications on your screen, you are very likely to grab your phone, and while you're still in bed, to start looking through your notifications, maybe answer a couple of messages, and then, oh, let me check Instagram, and 20 minutes later, you are still in bed. However, if you don't have your phone in your bedroom and you use a more traditional alarm clock, you are much more likely to get out of bed immediately because you are not distracted, or you don't have a temptation of your phone being nearby. The behavior is going to look very different depending on the items that are around you, whether it's your phone or a traditional alarm clock. In a nutshell, the main principle of behavioral architecture is pretty simple. Whatever is nearby will have a bigger effect on your life than whatever is further away. Your phone's location, for example, may seem trivial. It's the kind of thing that you don't really consider in the day-to-day, but it's a really powerful illustration of behavioral architecture. If your phone is nearby, you're far more likely to reach for it throughout the day. I am a sucker for quotes and phrases that really make me think, so I want to share this one with you. If your environment is full of temptations, you'll be tempted. This is so true, and this is so powerful, because when I was working as a personal trainer in New York, I would tell this to my clients all the time. If you have unhealthy snacks in your house, you are going to eat them, because it requires so much willpower and so much energy to resist that temptation. So if you want to eat healthier, just don't bring unhealthy snacks to your house, because if your environment is full of temptation, you will be tempted. It's also not just our physical environment that we should be concerned about. Our virtual environments are just as important. Whether it's getting targeted ads on social media of what clothes or gadgets you should buy, being able to order unhealthy snacks with a click of a button and having them delivered within 15 minutes, or spending 3 hours watching videos because YouTube recommended them, our virtual spaces can have a huge effect on our habits and our behavior. I sometimes fall into these rabbit holes of YouTube as well, when YouTube recommends me these incredible videos that they know I want to watch, my habit would be to immediately click on them, and then I'll watch one video and then another one gets recommended, and 3 hours later I am watching YouTube videos still. What I started to do is that I started to add those videos that are recommended to me into my watch list. So let's say I open my YouTube and I see whatever's on the home screen and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is the video I want to watch and this is the video I want to watch. Instead of immediately following through with the behavior, I will add those videos to my watch later list, and then the next day I will check my watch later list, and 80% of the time I will not want to watch those videos anymore, because I realized that, oh, it was only in the spur of a moment that it seemed so appealing and so good. But now that it's a day later, I realized, yeah, I don't really want to watch that. It's quite funny because we humans like to think that we are in control, and we would like to think that most of our choices in the day-to-day are made by our conscious brain, when in reality, that is not the case at all. We are very good at fooling ourselves. We will come up with excuses, we will believe those excuses, and then we will justify those excuses. I mean, we are masters at deceiving ourselves, and very few of us take an honest look at ourselves, at our behaviors, and our habits. So we can justify all we want, our unhealthy and unproductive habits, but in reality, they've become so difficult to change, and we have all these cues in our environment that trigger those behaviors, that it's simply easier to keep things as they are than to change them. Many of the actions that we take each day are not driven by purposeful drive and choice, but by the most obvious and easiest options. And if the most obvious and easiest options are unhealthy and unproductive, with time, these choices will turn into unhealthy and unproductive habits. When it comes to changing your behavior or changing a habit, you need to consider 3 things. First of all, identify what behavior or habit you are trying to change. Maybe you want to drink more water, maybe you want to wake up earlier and start working out, maybe you want to be more productive and not as distracted at work. First, you need to identify what it is that you want to change. Second, you need to take inventory of your environment. And by your environment, it's not only your home environment. Take a look at your work environment, take a look at your virtual environment, and also take a look at your social environment. Do not underestimate the power that your social circle has on your habits, whether they are good or they are bad. And lastly, take a look at how you can reorganize and restructure your environment to help you prompt those healthier and more productive behaviors. So if you're trying to spend less time on your phone, make sure you don't bring your phone into the bedroom, delete all the tempting apps off your phone, and when you work, make sure that your phone is out of sight, whether that's in a different room or in your bag where you can't see it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. And because I love quotes so much, I want to leave you with a final one. It is only when looking back 2, 5, or perhaps 10 years later that the value of good habits and the cost of bad ones becomes strikingly apparent.